The Green Bay Packers have many defining characteristics. One may point to the legendary coaches, iconic uniforms, long-standing traditions, or even perhaps the fabled Lambeau Field. However, the most recognizable characteristics may be the cast of superstars that have stood up for the green and gold. The Packers have fielded some of the greatest football players in history, from the early legends to Coach Lombardi's Packers, and even the new era of stars. It is impossible to profile all the important faces that make the Packers' history so great, but it is important to recount the stories of some of the important, greatest, and most interesting players that have donned a Packers uniform.
Like tonight, this has to be the greatest place in the world for Brett Favre to be.
I knew my dad would want me to play, and I love him so much and love this game. And it's meant a great deal to me, to my dad, and to my family, and I didn't expect this type of performance, but I know he was watching.
To most modern fans, Brett Favre may be the defining Green Bay Packer. His fun-loving attitude, gunslinging play style, and penchant for turning disaster into magic on the field were his most notable traits as a player. Brett Favre's story is one of perseverance, tragedy, and triumph. When Favre was in college at Southern Mississippi University, he was involved in a near-fatal car crash that resulted in a loss of 30 inches of his lower intestine. This would not keep him out for long though, as 6 weeks later he would return and lead Southern Miss to an upset comeback win over Alabama. This would kick off a trend in Favre's career of Herculean acts of toughness and dedication to football. Despite being sacked more than any other quarterback in history, enduring the death of his father, suffering a drug addiction that landed him in rehab for 46 days, and having his Mississippi home blown away during Hurricane Katrina, Favre would not miss a start for a record 321 straight games. This is the longest Iron Man streak in the NFL, and fans connected with Favre's perseverance through personal struggles as well as his fun antics on the field. He is still one of the most popular players in NFL history and is one of the most memorable players in the Packers story. Although Brett Favre often took the spotlight, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did if it wasn't for one of his star receivers.
12 years ago, I was standing in a media room in front of nothing but media people, and the Packers signed me to a contract that I knew that I was able to take care of my family for the rest of my life. And that's when I made that moment to say, I would never wear another uniform in NFL history. I cannot do it the rest of my life. And I made that decision that I can't wear another uniform. It's got to be the green and gold.
Growing up in Houston, Texas, a middle child of 5 siblings, Donald Driver didn't have it easy. While he was young, his family lived in a U-Haul truck, a multitude of hotels, and friends' homes. His older siblings got into legal trouble trying to provide for his family and were often not around, leaving Donald to take care of his younger siblings. While sharing a room with his younger brother, Driver promised him and his family that he would lead them out of this difficult life. He lived by the motto to never give up, inspired by his mother, who worked many jobs with late hours to provide for the family and make it possible for Donald to do what he did. Donald decided as a young kid that he didn't want to be remembered as someone who did bad, but as one who inspired to do good. And in his early years at Milby High School in Houston, Texas, he shined, lettering 4 times in each track, football, basketball, and baseball. He was a Texas All-State honorable mention in football while playing wide receiver, defensive back, and special teams. And through his impressive performance, earned a scholarship to Alcorn State University in Mississippi. As a speedy and athletic receiver, he was a 5-time Athlete of the Year in his conference for his prowess, lettering in both football and track, and finished his career with 88 receptions for 1,993 yards, which is almost 20 yards per catch. Although his road to the NFL was not an easy one, and he was by no means a lock to be drafted in 1999. With the 213th pick in the 1999 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers selected the Alcorn State standout. Young Driver was a standout in training camp, making acrobatic catches that stunned the crowd, and to most surprises, impressively made the Week 1 roster. Within 3 years, Donald Driver was a key starter, making the Pro Bowl for the first time, catching rockets from Brett Favre all over the field. He had a successful career playing with Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, winning a Super Bowl in 2011 and excelling to 3 Pro Bowls throughout his 14-year career. Driver went on to become the leading receiver in Packers history. Little did they know that this lowly 7th-round pick would be one of the best players of the draft and would eventually be one of the best players in their franchise history.